So we've got our box built, but now we want to go through and we're going to start adding all of these parts. All right, this is kind of what we're building. And in this video, we're going to do the shaft, add this crank arm, these spacers. So let's start with this shaft. All right, our box is 6 inches. Well, we're going to add a 1/4 inch here, 1/4 inch here, 1/4 inch here. So our shaft needs to be 6.75 inches. So let's create a part. Okay, rename it shaft. All right, I'm going to do a sketch just on the front plane. I'm going to do a circle, 1/4 inch, so 0.25, and I'm going to extrude it. All right, and we said we're going to go 6.75 inches. Okay, so now we've got our shaft. Let's rename the part shaft. Okay, edit appearance. Let's just go with black. Okay, so if I go to my assembly, we're going to insert the shaft. Okay, this, I want the shaft to spin. So I'm going to do a revolve make. Okay, so I'm going to do a revolve, and I'm going to get that edge right there to meet up with my hole. Okay, so looking at it right now, remember, I only want a 1/4 inch on this side, or maybe we add the crank arm on that side. I kind of like that. So we're going to offset it in this direction. So remember, the z-axis gives us a direction. We want to offset along the axis 0.25. And that gives us room to put our spacer, crank arm. And we've added our shaft. Let's do another assembly. So create part studio, not assembly, part studio. Okay, rename. We're going to call this spacers. Okay, so I'm going to sketch on the front plane again. And this one's real easy. We're just going to do a circle, 0.25, and do a second circle, all using that center point. And this one's going to be 0.5. Do an extrude. We want to leave the middle unselected, and we want it to be 0.25. Okay. Rename the part. Spacer. Let's edit appearance. Let's make it, let's go with red. All right. Now let's go to our assembly and let's add our spacers. So insert a spacer. I'm going to put one on this side and also on this side. Now, when I fasten it, I want this outer edge here to line up with that outer edge. So if I select right there, okay, or even right there, it works. Make sure I select this circle here. And now my spacer's in alignment. We're done with that fasten. Let's do another one. Okay. Here, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can put it here and offset it, or you can click this side and have it match up with that side, but I want it locked on the shaft. So to ensure that, I'm going to click right there and right there. So they're in alignment. And then I'm going to do an offset. All right, and it's going to be a 1/4 inch. Now, since the Z is going to the right, we're going negative direction. So it'd be negative 0.25. And we're good with that spacer. Okay, well, now let's add our crank arm. So create a new part studio, rename it crank arm. We're going to do a sketch on the front plane again. Okay, and I'm going to start by making my first axle 0.25, and I'm going to do a bigger circle around it. We'll go 0.75. Then I'm going to come up here, add a circle. This is another little axle, 0.25. And using that same center, I'm going to go 0.5. Okay. Now that we've got those kind of made, I'm going to dimension. I want to click this center and that center, and we're going to set that distance to be 1.5. Okay. Now, just like we did when we made our pair cams, I'm going to select my line tool and drag off to the side. It doesn't touch either circle, but it goes past and past. All right. Find your tangent constraint. So we're going to do tangent, line, circle, and then at this end, line, circle. Take my scissors, chop, chop, and then I'm going to do the same on the other side. Grab my line, extend and beyond. Don't care about how long it is, but get my tangent, line, circle, line, circle. Scissors, trim, and trim. Okay, let's do an extrude, and that gets everything we want. Okay, we don't want that circle or that circle. We want the extrude to be 0.25. And then let's assign it a color or rename it crank arm. Edit appearance. And let's go with this color. Guys, I don't care what colors you choose. Just pick whatever you want. Okay, so now we've got it built. Let's go to our assembly, insert, crank arm. I'm putting it right there, so that looks good. All right, and the reason I pay attention to my orientation when I'm building them is so that I don't have to move it around, and it's already lined up like it should be. Okay, so I'm going to do a fasten mate because I want it locked on the axle. Remember, the axle is what's spinning. So if I lock this onto the axle, it'll spin with the axle. So I want it right there. And right there. Let's just kind of look at it from the right view. And that looks good. Okay. Close that out. And the last thing is I need something to hold on to. So create another part studio. All right, let's rename this to let's go crank twig. I don't know, lots of words there. All right, I wanted to call it crank arm, but we already got a crank arm, but crank twig. So again, we set this up to be 0.25 inches. So I want to make a 0.25 inch shaft. I should have called it crank shaft. That's what I wanted. Do an extrude. And 1 inch should be plenty. All right, let's rename it to crank twig. All right, and let's edit its appearance. I'm going to go black again and go to my assembly. I'm going to insert the crank twig and do a fasten mate. All right, I want the back side of this circle. And we're going to go right there. Make sure you don't highlight that entire tube, just that circle. All right, but if you look, that's right here. I need to offset it to right here. So offset, the Z's going in that direction, so it would be positive 0.25. And now you can see it goes all the way back into here. And I'm done with that. So I'm going to do a quick animate. the revolve, remember this shaft is what's revolving. So if I click revolve, right click on it, animate, and just hit play, and there you can see it's spinning. Okay, so we like that, and let's move on. I'm going to stop this video and we will work on the followers next.